You guys have been asking for a video demonstration of the Solitaire variant I've been creating for Doomtown. Doomtown Reloaded is a card game. I'm going to show you the rules and just do a quick demo of how they work. But what I wanted was an opponent I could practice against and play this thing Solitaire. One of the challenges with creating Solitaire rule variants, particularly for a card game like this, I mean I had a go with a Game of Thrones LCG, is all the card text, which if you try and emulate a real player using your Solitaire rules, it's going to be very difficult. You're going to get stuck. So what I've tried to do instead is give you an opponent, a challenge, a scenario if you like, and at this stage of the game, I'm on version 1.4, which is what I'm going to show you now. It's about trying to balance that opponent so that he offers you a good challenge, like a 50-50 win-lose kind of situation. So let me show you how we set this up. We're going to play against the Law Dogs, and our opponent, Wyatt, takes a standard deck of 52, right? Yeah, I've called him Wyatt, after Wyatt Earp, I suppose. He's the sheriff from Tombstone. So we'll just give our deck a shuffle. Okay, now if you don't know Doomtown, you're controlling this town called Gomorrah, two sides of the street. Wyatt's on one side, we're on the other, and to take control of the town we've got to have control of more deeds in the town than they have influence in the town, and control is given by your deeds, influence is given by your dudes. I'm going to be playing as the Sloan Gang, and what you do to start up the game is you can take any number of dudes as your starting hand, right? I've chosen these 4, it just happens to be from the pre-constructed base game. The only restriction is, see this number down here in the bottom left? This is my outfit card or my home card. This is going to give me 18 money to spend. They call them Ghost Rock. Alright, and in the bottom left of each of these dudes is the amount of Ghost Rock they cost to bring these into play. So that's 3, 6, 9, 11. Right, so that's going to give me 7 change to play with. Now all these dudes are at a location. In this case, they're all here at my home location. And Wyatt's home card is here, and he needs to pick some dudes as well. Now you can see that Law Dogs, they start with 19 Ghost Rock. This is 19. And now we're going to start drawing cards. And what we're looking for is spades. Okay, all the dudes, you notice the ones I put into play, are all spades. So spades are dudes, we're looking for dudes. And diamonds are deeds. Diamonds are deeds, these are places. Alright, so we're looking for diamonds and spades. Let's draw. Right, as a club, we'll discard it. Another club, discard it. Clubs are actions normally, but Wyatt, he's not going to take actions. Right, we got a deed. This one's called Gomorrah Parish. Now, normally deeds cost money, right? 3 to put into play. But for Wyatt, we're going to let him have 2 deeds to start off his side of town for free, and it just happens to be the first 2 he draws. The first one we're going to play to Wyatt's right, so left as we're looking at it, and then we'll keep drawing. Right, we got a spade. This one's Abraham Groth, and he costs 5 Ghost Rock. So we place him at home. That's his starting spot. Okay, home. Pay the 5 because that's what it costs, and we keep drawing. I'm going to keep drawing until Wyatt can't afford to play any more dudes. Keep drawing. Diamond. Okay, there's our other one. That's the railroad station. So that's it in terms of deeds. Okay, so all we're going to do now is keep drawing spades. Okay, we got Lucy Clover. She costs 2. Keep going. That's a diamond, we'll discard it because we've got our 2 already. Another Lucy, that's a duplicate. You can't have 2 of the same, so that's discarded. And then we've got Sheriff Dave Montreal. Okay, so Dave Montreal, he costs 9, we've only got 3. We can't afford to put him in place, so we discard it and then we stop. Now the next thing we do for setup is we move. We're going to just put some defence in. Okay, we're going to move the highest cost dude to the highest cost deed. So the highest cost dude is the judge. He costs 6. We'll put him here, and then Abraham over here. All right, and that's it. That's Wyatt set up. So that's his side of the street. We'll give our deck a shuffle. I'm going to draw a hand of 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is my hand for the game. Now let's see, what have we got in the way of influence and control? Well, for the start of the game we've got no control. We've got no deeds in play, so we don't control any part of town. But for influence we've got 1 here, 2 here, and 1 here. So I'm just going to take 4 red chips, place them over here. That's to mark my influence. Now Wyatt's influence is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, pretty high. And his control is 1 from the Gomorrah parish, 1 from the railroad station, 2. So we're going to give him 2 blue chips. We're going to put them opposite our 4 influence. Now if this stack ever gets bigger than this stack, that means he's got more control than we have influence. He wins the game. He had 7 influence, so we'll put 7 chips here. If our control ever exceeds his influence, then we win the game. Alright, and that's the way we play. Now, it's not immediate. You have to wait to the end of each round to do that victory check. We call that the sundown phase. Okay. First, we've got to determine who's going to go first, and we call that the gambling phase. And all we do is we draw 5 cards, and we have a quick game of poker lowball. Okay. I've got 4 5s. That's a pretty good, pretty good hand. So chances are he's going to win. We just discard this. Let's do Wyatt's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whenever you're drawing hands to play off against each other, always do your own first, alright? Wyatt's got 3 aces, 3 of a kind, so yeah, he gets initiative. You're also wagering $1 each or 1 ghost rock each, okay, for that game of lowball. So both players put in 1 ghost rock. Whoever wins the lowball, whoever's got the lowest hand, takes that as a prize. Right? That's regular rules. For the most part, we're just using regular rules here. It's only the AI that controls Wyatt, really, that's different. There is one exception to the regular rules. In the regular rules, you can go and try and take control of each other's home cards. Okay, they're outfits. But in the Solitaire rules, these are out of bounds. These are like little safe houses where your guys can go to and Wyatt's guys can go to without risk of being taken down. Okay, now we move to Upkeep Phase. All the deeds we control generate ghost rock for us, income for us. Our home card says it's +3, gives us +3. Our dudes, they all need pay and they all need a salary, yeah? So we add them up. Lawrence needs 0, Silas 0, Marion 1, Ramiro 1. Okay, so we're going to get 3 income, we're going to spend 2, that gives us a net of 1 ghost rock for the upkeep phase. If we couldn't afford to pay all the wages, then we'd have to discard some of these guys. So when you're choosing your starting dudes who are going to begin the game during setup, this cost here is important. Make sure whatever is here, the +3, that this doesn't exceed it. Ideally a little bit lower. You're looking for some good influence and 0 maintenance if you can, and enough dudes to give you a little bit left over, and perhaps some abilities that you like the look of. Right? I'm not experienced enough to give you any more advice beyond that, really. Okay, now let's have a look at Wyatt's. He's got +1 here, +3 here, that's 5. His upkeep is 2, 3, 4. So he's going to net 1 ghost rock for the upcoming round. Or day. This is a whole day, right, from sun up to sundown. Okay, that's upkeep done. If Wyatt can't afford to play his dudes, then he just doesn't get any income. He never discards during upkeep phase. These guys will happily stay in his employ for as long as he needs them, even if it means they don't get paid. Okie doke. Right, now we're moving into what's called high noon phase, and this is where we're each playing cards. Now you'll be playing cards from your hand, just like in the regular game. Wyatt was the winner of the lowball, so he goes first. Now Wyatt doesn't have a deck of cards. He doesn't have a hand of cards, sorry. He does have a deck. And all we're going to do to determine Wyatt's actions, we're going to draw a card and we're going to check the suit. Here's my Solitaire rules. This here on the on my iPad. Now all we've got here is some instructions to say if you draw a heart, do such and such. If you draw a diamond, do such and such. Club or a spade. And it's a sequence. Okay, and this is the AI, and this is kind of just one of those tricks that I think I first saw in the cooperative game Gears of War by Fantasy Flight. You kind of start by, you look at the piece of logic. If this condition is met, do this. If that doesn't, move down, look at the next step. Okay, so I'll show you how that works. Let's see what we've got. We've drawn a club. Okay, the black suits tend to be aggressive actions for Wyatt, and the red suits are a little bit more defensive. And this is where, and I think I've suggested it in the top of the rules, when you're creating your deck, it's the balance of suits that really controls Wyatt's actions and how he behaves. I mean, the only other thing that's significant is the deeds, because if you manage to take control of one of his deeds, these abilities become available to you. Alright, now what I've suggested is you use 14 spades, 14 clubs, 16 diamonds and only 8 hearts. Right, we got a club. So what does it say? It says, if Wyatt can call out a player's dude at a deed that Wyatt doesn't control. Right, so if his dudes and my dudes are at the same location, potentially he's going to call us out, and that means, you know, he's going to challenge us to a shootout, and that will be resolved until somebody's only one man's left standing. Right, but he can't call us out anywhere because none of us are sharing the same place. So we move down to number 2, and it says move the highest cost dude from home to town square. So this is 2 sides of the street, right? That's how you've got to see it. There's all the properties on his side of the street, all the properties on my side of the street, which at the moment is just my home card. In the middle here is town square. We can move across the street into town square. Now as it goes, you can move from any location to any other location, but in doing so, you do something called booting. And that's turning the card sideways. So if Clementine wanted to head straight on over here to my hometown, you can't in the solo game, but in the regular games you could. So you'd have to boot. Okay, there's only 2 conditions that says you don't boot, and I'll show you those in just a second. But the point is that once you've booted, it kind of puts you out of action. You can't, you know, Clementine can't do something. She can react to certain things that happen at her location, but then she can't do stuff. Okay, so it's kind of like exhausting that character, if you like. They've travelled too far. Now, if you move from home to town square, then you don't boot. Okay, so Clementine's coming into town square, and the benefit of doing that is that once you're in town square, you can move to another location without booting. So it takes 2 turns to move across town, but you're not booting, and that means that once you get across town, you can do some other stuff, like call someone out or use one of your boot actions. You can see that this Abraham Goff's got a boot to do something. Now, if he's already booted, he can't. All right, so that's the idea. Right, so we've moved Clementine into town square, so she's now staking out in the middle of the street, thinking about coming across here. Right, that's it. That's their action done. They drew a card, they responded to the AI, now it's back to me. And now I can take my actions. And again, for one action, I can do something like what's called act in. I can use the ability of one of these cards or cards on my hand. I can put something into play. This is called shopping, so I could put a deed in, or another dude, or one of these goods, a heart. Yeah, one of those dudes of spades, deeds of diamonds. I could take an action with a club. Okay. What I'd like to do, you know, I could respond by moving one of my dudes into town centre as well. Remember, we're trying to gain some control. So I'm going to put Charlie's place into play. This is a deed. It's going to cost me 3 ghost rock to put into play. So let's discard the 3. But it's going to give me 1 control. Now I can put it either side of town. Right? Do I want to put it to the left of my home or to the right? That doesn't matter too much. I'm going to put it to the right. But that's certainly 1 control. Right? 1. Big pile left to go. Now there's 2 ways of winning, you see. I can either build my control pile up higher than this one, but more likely is that we'll just build this up a little bit and then try and knock this down by challenging some of Wyatt's dudes to shootouts. Okay. Now these cards here, one of the things you'll probably, when you're starting out, think, well, how do I arrange the board? Well, these dudes sitting below this card, they're all located here. I mean, some people like to do it like kind of like this, but I just like to. I'm playing here on the floor because it gives me more space, but I just kind of do that, and then this deed over here where no one is. All right. Okay, that's my action done. Back to Wyatt. So draw a card. It's a heart. So we go off to our rules and we take a look at the AI. It says move a dude from out of town into town square. Some of these deeds, mostly the time they're in town, right? This is the town square. Remember the centre of the town, and you've got one side of the street, another side of the street that's in town. Some deeds can kind of be out of town, like, you know, off away somewhere, and dudes can go there. And it says if you draw a heart, Wyatt might bring that dude into town. Right, we don't have that. So we move on down. We can't satisfy that condition. Then it says move the highest God's dude from home to an in or out of town deed controlled by Wyatt with no dudes located there, and with the highest control greater than 0, and so on and so on. Wyatt's getting defensive. If he had, basically what it's saying is if he's got a couple of deeds and there's no dudes there, he's going to bring a dude from home to go and defend it. Now at the moment there's dudes there, so he's going to skip past that one. And then it says move the highest cost dude from home or town square to a deed owned by Wyatt but not controlled by Wyatt. Anything on his side of town is owned by him. Anything that where his dudes have more influence is controlled by him. Same for us. Alright, so at the moment there's nothing that he there's nothing that he owns but doesn't control. So we move down to the next part, which is a pass. Wyatt will pass. Now here's the thing, if he passes, I could now happily pass, and that will end the turn. Alright, we'll move into the sundown phase. So I've got to decide now, do I want to play on? Do I want to take some more action? Try and do something about this pile before we move into the next day? Or do I want to end the day there and move on? Now, when you're starting out, you've got to say to yourself, well, what should I do? Now, obviously, if I'm in a losing condition, if his control is higher than my influence, then I should not pass. If I pass, and I'm usually going to lose the game. If my control is higher than his influence, then I should definitely pass because I'll win the game. All right, and if it's kind of balanced and I've done everything I feel I could do, everyone's booted, nothing more to be doing, then often it's a simple question of just saying, right, I can't do anything more. Let's pass as well and end the day. But as it stands, there's still quite a lot of action I can do. All right, but that's okay for Wyatt. Remember, he's not playing like a normal player. He's just setting up a situation. He's got his side of the street. He's got some dudes there waiting for us to take the initiative. All right, once we start taking the initiative, then he might start responding. And that's what his AI is all about, presenting us with a challenge. He's challenging us. He's not coming at us right now. He's saying, here I am, come and get me. All right? And that's what the solo variant is doing. But everything I'm doing here with my cards is just like a regular game.